Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So recent events, I think, show us that while businesses may have a firm idea about what they think their value proposition is, often customers have a different idea, and that's something that businesses have to pay attention to. The example I have in mind is LL Bean. Now, it was just last week that we reported on change that LL Bean made in their returns policy. People kept thinking it was a lifetime return policy, when in fact it was a lifetime guarantee, satisfaction guaranteed policy. They're not the same thing. So what was happening is people were, wearing things for 10 or 15 years and then sometimes returning them to LL Bean for a new pair of boots or a new shirt or something like that. And sometimes they'd pick up a shirt or something at a yard sale or at the Salvation Army and bring it back and expect a full refund or a brand new shirt. Listen, that's just not cool. That's really unethical behavior. But LL Bean had been doing it for a long time, but finally it was unsustainable and they had to make a change. Now if you return something within a year with proof of transaction, they'll take care of it. Beyond a year, if you have a defect in the product you bought, not a problem. Now the story got a lot of play last week. Got a lot of email here on Morning News Beat. And there were two stories particularly that sort of intrigued me, that reacted to it. Now, one of them was from Esquire. And the story described the previous guarantee as outrageously generous and basically unparalleled among retailers. And now it's gone. Shed a tear. The story went on. LL Bean's return policy was much more than just a return policy. The legendary vow was as much a marketing tactic as an actual corporate policy. The promise provided the company with plenty of marketing material, both in-store and on its website, and it was also an implicit way of telling customers that LL Bean's apparel and footwear were well made and prodigiously long-lasting. It was a sign that, quote, "We stand behind everything we sell," but now customers will just have to take LL Bean's word for it. In other words, they understand why they made the change, but somehow it's made them less in that particular writer's eyes. Now at the New Yorker, they had a completely different take on the situation. The story said that, listen, the old policy was a kind of comfort food for shoppers, right? And an indication that whatever losses it might take on returns, it more than made up for in sales, and that LL Bean, the store, represented a kind of retail utopia. But unlike Esquire, which seemed to think it was a kind of mistake, the New Yorker really concluded that the old policy was, quote, "an odd corporate experiment, a long-lasting one, in believing that the best in people. Now that it's over, it seems crazy that it lasted as long as it did." Now listen, as I've said here before, it's a shame that LL Bean found itself in a situation where that policy was simply not sustainable and they had to change it. But I don't begrudge them having to make that decision. It was a tough one, and it's tough to make a change like that after a long period of time. Now, for me, the value proposition at LL Bean has never been the guarantee. For me, the value proposition was always the fact that the product was really, really good. I have this sun-washed canvas shirt in about, 12, 13 colors. And I've had some of them for like 20 years, and the only reason I ever have to get a new one is I don't have to. They come out with a new color. I love these shirts, and now there's no sign that they're going to fall apart. And if they do, you know something? I've more than gotten my wear out of it. But for some people, the value proposition wasn't the quality of the product; it was the guarantee. That's a reality that LL Bean's going to have to live with. And as I said here when I originally did my commentary about the story, I think they're going to get some blowback, but I think it's eventually going to blow over. But what it really illustrates is something that every retailer has to do. Every retailer, every business sits there and they say, we know what our value proposition is. But the question they have to ask themselves is whether or not the customer shares that vision of what the value proposition, or is the customer thinking about something different? Just asking. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.